Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Caldera is officially partially here. Obviously, if you own Vanguard, if you played a game of Vanguard, the early access period for Caldera is here. And of course, yesterday and last night, we got all the patch notes. We got the whole update preview and the breakdown for everything that was changing. And while we are still waiting on a lot of weapon tuning, so we can't exactly go in and figure out which weapons are, just absolutely broken and overpowered because it's not fully up to date yet, what we can do is go ahead and preview some other aspects of a loadout that have just drastically changed since Warzone on Verdansk and Verdansk 84. The Season 1 update, the Pacific update, brought a huge amount of changes to some of the gameplay aspects that absolutely is going to affect everyone's loadout. So as we go through it all today, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD. And just about 58% of viewers have not already subbed to the channel yet. So if you want to stay up to date with everything, feel free to hit that sub button, click that bell icon. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date with the latest news, updates, class setups, and tips. So the first bit of info stems from the patch notes from last night. Now, we already covered all the patch notes in a separate video. If you haven't seen that one yet, by all means, feel free to go and check it out. But specifically, what we want to look at is the gameplay adjustments. There is some other cool stuff here with the removal of stopping power. UAVs now cost more money, but really, we are looking at the lethal and tactical equipment. So as we can see, previously a Claymore did 150 damage. Now it's going to do 200 damage, which would mean that unless you are fully plated, this is going to deal a ton of damage and potentially will be lethal if you have no plates or just one plate on there, which is pretty interesting. Honestly, if you even have two plates, because every plate is 50 health, you have 100 base health. If you have two plates, a Claymore could potentially knock you, which is pretty crazy. Let's look at the frag here. Previously, it only did 70 or 140 damage. So if you had no plates, this could potentially kill you. If you had one plate though, a frag would never fully knock you. Now, if you have two plates on, it can do up to 225 health. So with two plates, a correctly placed frag could end up knocking you entirely, which is pretty insane to think about given how much you could really use that to your advantage, right? If you can cook a frag perfectly and send it into, a room where some campers are just, posted up s'mores over the campfire, that's going to deal a lot of damage. Basically, this is doing, a third more damage over time. That's not the correct math because math is difficult, but that's a pretty insane increase. The minimum damage is now 112, meaning if you get hit by a frag with no armor, that's a knock, and then even with armor, it's going to be very detrimental to your health. Molotovs, the damage tick has been increased to 21, 36, and 43, which is up from 15, 25, and 30. So for every potential tick you're standing in a Molotov, it could be doing up to 43 damage, which is going to add up very quickly if you're in that for any prolonged period of time. And the duration of it also lasts basically double here, which is a big upgrade to the Molotov. I still don't think that's the best lethal per se, but that's also a big upgrade as well, especially if you find that on floor loot and it's your last resort, right? The Prox Mine used to do 200 damage, so it was already very powerful as is. Now it does 25 more, so it'll make you essentially one shot if you get hit by a proximity mine and then immediately have to get into an engagement. So yeah, you have to be on your A game, right? You got to be ducking the second you hear that potentially going off. That's also going to be a very big change. Then the Semtex was buffed a little bit, nothing crazy. It does 4 more minimal damage and 10 more max damage. So it's still going to be a relatively strong nade, but nowhere near as strong as, say, the frag in this case, or the Claymore, or the proximity mine. And throwing knives potentially have the ability to be the most broken equipment in the game. Damage increased to 250, which is full health, fully plated, on hits to the upper torso and headshots. So if you are someone who is incredibly accurate with a throwing knife and you can consistently land chest shots, neck shots, and headshots, it'll one hit a player with full armor, which is kind of absurd. If you get 2 throwing knives, even if you miss one, that's going to be a good chance to potentially knock a player in almost an instantaneous time, right? So that could potentially be kind of broken. I could maybe see that one getting nerfed, but obviously there's a huge skill gap with throwing knives versus a frag or a Semtex because you have to be 100% accurate, right? So that's going to really reward very good players. So honestly, all the lethals here, especially the frag, now look incredibly beneficial to run. Now the tacticals also changed a little bit here too. The decoys now shoot out rubber bullets. They deal 1 damage. I don't think those will be used anymore. The heartbeats though now take double the time to pulse and get that information out. That's a pretty significant nerf. I still think it needs to be nerfed a little bit more and, put a limit on it. You can only use it 10 times a game, or it has a battery life, let's say. But it makes the heartbeat sensor a lot less aggressive in general. So that's going to be a a severe nerf to that, and I think that'll deter people from using that. Snapshots now, you know, highlight players at a larger radius, but the one that I'm the most interested in is the stim shot, because this applies an additional 3-second boost that increases movement, slide, and sprint speed. You basically get like you're cranked in multiplayer, let's say. You get that speed when you apply a stim shot. They also nerfed the stun a little bit, so that's a little bit less useful as well. The stuns and the heartbeats were the two most popular equipment before. They nerfed both of them to a certain extent, and when you factor in the nade spam that's going to occur, this is a lot of damage being dealt. If you get hit with a nade and you're suddenly one shot, that stim could now be extremely useful and could potentially save your life. So I think the stim now is a lot more viable and a lot more useful on a lot of setups. So now, as we're in here on the menu, this really, I think, changes a lot of things. When it first up comes to the lethal and the tactical, I mean, when we sit here and look at this, some of this stuff won't even be allowed in Vanguard Royale. Like, you can't use the Semtex in the Vanguard Royale playlist. Obviously, in the regular Battle Royale, where there's Modern Warfare and Cold War and Vanguard weapons, you can use whatever here. But I mean, when it comes down to it, the frag's potential here is absolutely absurd. You just have to know how to cook it correctly in terms of how far you need to throw it and where it needs to land. And this will probably be the most detrimental gameplay experience to your enemies, because it's going to deal so much damage so easily. You pick up 2 of these, you got double the chance there. Like, that is honestly an endangerment to a whole squad, if we're being real here. So I really feel like the frag's use is just going to spike. Claymores, if you're kind of, you know, posting up, doing recons, whatever the case may be, also very beneficial, as are the proximity mines and the throwing knife as well. Semtex is still kind of just there, but really, I think the frag is now the most promising lethal for top tier players. And when it comes to the tactical, the stun's not going to be as impactful. They're not going to hinder enemies as much. The heartbeat now takes way longer to use. Stims are also looking extra spicy, so I'd recommend trying the frag and the stim out on the setup just to see how it works for you. And if you notice a significant increase in your gameplay quality, it might be worth running. But also, we gotta talk perks, because now with all that nade spam, with how many different frags and claymores and everything else is going to be, EOD easily becomes the perk one you have to run. A lot of players previously were running double time. You know, on Rebirth, quick fix is pretty popular, but EOD absolutely takes the cake for that perk 1 perk you need to be running right now. So definitely a very, very big change going on there as well. I would recommend that on pretty much every single loadout you're running, because that nade spam, especially right now as the tuning is just now going out, is going to be extreme, to say the least. And obviously, you can find all of these as ground loot. You might end up getting one in the gulag, so if you win and you come back, you automatically have one of those. So there's going to be a lot of nades getting tossed, a lot of proximity mines, a lot of claymores getting put down, and that's going to change gameplay a lot and definitely impacts everyone's loadout, I would say. Definitely make sure you update yours accordingly. But that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully it helped you guys out. If it did, or if you just simply enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel, or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD. Between news, updates, class setups, tips, it is all right here. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.